The very first thing you must understand, whenever you are talking about Hunter Biden or Joe Biden or Donald Trump, is to remove yourself from your political indications, to remove yourself from your political tendencies, and focus on what this means in terms of criminal law, the Constitution, and so forth. Now, I know that's difficult, and I know that is tough. But right now, we got to ask ourselves a very simple question. Will Hunter Biden be charged? What will happen? I'll look at this from a prosecutor's point of view, from a defense lawyer's point of view, and also from a political point of view. First, it has been far too long that Hunter Biden has seemingly skirted any ostensible responsibility in terms of his particular activity. People have been saying for too long there's too much going on. There has been, and I'm not going to go through the litany of instances from laptops to whatever. But it appears, and you're suggesting that he's looking at ostensibly 4 charges, basically. A couple of counts of failing to file tax returns, misdemeanors, maybe a felony tax evasion, and then some felony gun form issue or some gun form violation. Now, why is that important? As a defense lawyer, I'm going to say, I'll give you something. Not that I have any room to negotiate, but what I'm hoping for theoretically is, here's your pound of flesh, do something. Just make this go away. He'll be a good boy. He's out of the picture. I would recommend to him, you are to vanish, go into a monastery, take a world cruise, take whomever you want, and just go someplace. Go to a mountain, go to an area, and just remove yourself. Out of sight, out of mind. As Gore Vidal said, we are the United States of amnesia. Nobody will remember anything about this. They will not remember anything about him or what happened or what he did or what he had. Nobody. It'll be over with, and you're going to say to yourself, that's impossible. Trust me. I'll give you an example. John Durham. Who? My point exactly. Things happen. People they're too busy swiping machines, and we're not good at attending and focusing on certain issues. Okay, that's number one. Next, when it comes time, if it ever gets to the point where there is actual serious sentencing involved, which I wouldn't think, but in the event it's theoretically possible, whether it is or isn't, I believe it would be absolutely incumbent upon Hunter and his lawyers to bring up everything regarding his diminished capacity, his series of substance abuse, of mental health issues, giving many instances, many chances, many attempts or reasons for a court to take that as mitigation, so that he will feel some form of, a judge will be able to say, we looked at the sentencing guidelines, provided they are applicable. The sentencing guidelines are those minimum, this range of incarceration, incarcerative type of sentences. I don't know if this would happen with 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors, but who knows? In the federal system, there's no parole. You normally do 85% of your sentence, and you want to do as much as possible to see if there is something mandatory. Maybe there's a departure downward, providing clear and convincing reasons of how he were to fall under some category that would allow a sentencing court to take that into consideration and give him a break. That's number one. So that's what we're going to have here. But here is the most important issue, and this is what many have been wanting to know and been focusing on for the longest time. What about FARA? Not Farrah Fawcett, FARA. Ask your parents who Farrah Fawcett is. The Foreign Agents Registration Act. This was so huge, or huge, as we say in the kitchen here. This idea of you're acting basically not as some artist, not as someone who is merely working for the big guy, but basically it will be alleged and it will be proffered and suggested that his level of involvement was at such a level. He wasn't just fall guy for the Biden family. And don't think that would normally be a defense, but I don't think it's going to happen. For you to say, hey, judge, please give our guy a break. He's just a fall guy for the Biden. No, that wouldn't work. But the reason why that would be a problem was that then you would say, well, let's go into this. For whom are you doing business with foreign governments? And then you've got the president, his brother, others, and that would be a mess. It's very interesting when you look at the what some would say, brazen, absolutely open, unabashed, very creative ways of making money. By the way, my favorite is the painting. The painting is my favorite. Selling his artwork, the artiste, the Chagall of Wilmington. You know, he's very good at this. A friend of mine said something years ago, reminded me of something which I find interesting. And by analogy, it's kind of sort of interesting. Years ago in radio, my friend tells me that when at the time of, Alan Freed and payola and later on, people figured here's a way to get around it. Let's have this thing where disc jockey A is married and his wife, let's say, opens up a gift shop, an art shop, something. And she sells knickknacks and trinkets and different bric-a-brac or whatever it is. And if I am from the old days, I'm Arista Records or I'm Columbia, whoever, I'm not going to go anywhere near this disc jockey. I'll go to his wife's shop and I'll say, how much for this item? What is it? I don't even know what it is. But how about $20,000? Here you go. Thank you. Here's my card. Yes. Joe Blow from XYZ Records. And it was pretty much seen through. That's what many people were saying, suggesting, well, who's buying these paintings? And it goes to show you, is this really being done with such hubris, such absolutely, how do I say this? Do we have, how do I say this? Is it possible for there to be anything as, dare I say, hubristic as this? So obvious. Is that what we see here? Could it be? Well, that may be moot. But it does appear either way that the time has run out. You've got the elections coming up, and people are saying, look, we've got to do something about Hunter. And as a human being, not as somebody who is involved in politics or some analyst, as a human being, I can tell you that there is nothing sadder than somebody who has been involved in the rigors of addiction. Every family has known this. However, when you have the rigors of addiction, and what appears to be somebody who is skating past by virtue of position and the like, in some of the most obvious, not even remotely complicated operations, where it's just, we know it's, I mean, you don't need Columbo to figure this out. You don't need a forensic or a forensic accountant to figure this one out. Something has to give. So be very, very careful. I predict there will be a plea of some sort. It will be considered by one particular faction to be to be a slap on the wrist, nothing. From Biden's camp, they will say this is ridiculous. This man is sick. That's why the importance of this particular mitigating testimony. This is done for this blood sport of politics and the like. And then it'll be forgotten. And if Hunter Biden is smart, he will absent himself. No trips to Ireland, nothing. Just go away. And if I might say, and I'm not an expert in this, but if something does look a tad monastic, something that looks as though perhaps there is some form of treatment being sought, which I think would certainly be most warranted as a layperson, it would, I think, benefit him tremendously by reinforcing the message from a defense point of view that this is not public enemy number one, but a man, young man or otherwise, who was caught up in this, who by virtue of these demons that have plagued him for years have been, in essence, responsible for a lot of this. And this will seal shut most of this. People will say, okay, you had your Hunter Biden moment. And I further predict laptop, other issues. There are some matters going around where the laptop owner is being, I believe, sued for defamation in a kind of a counterclaim. But anyway, but that's later on. But once this is addressed, that will close that particular chapter, and you will see drastic changes from that point on. And there you have it. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. And please, I want to see what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I want to hear your brilliance as you comment, as you see fit.